Are we on?
Hello, party people.
What's up?
Are we really that boring?
Nah.
No.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Not bad, although that was the wrong response. Lola had the right one.
I know. I don't have it there.
Yep. All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, so it appears all the Nintendo leakers were wrong. And was it Agatha all along? Who knows? All that and more on this week's episode of the Nerd Archive Podcast. Oh, that beautiful bean footage.
Episode of the Nerd Archive Podcast.
Yeah, I love.
Yeah, but who the hell cares about wildlife anyway?
Right. We're over.
Now.
Yeah. For some reason, it transitioned to the 4. I don't know why he has these settings the way he does and has it auto transition to the 4. But then again, we usually have 4 people, but it is what it is. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another fun-filled episode of the Nerd Archive Podcast. Justin here alongside Yadi and Lola, and as you can plainly see, we are missing one person. Sadly, Lewis is at work. Yeah.
I was gonna say we kicked him out for being too stinky.
I was trying to be kind, but you had to go and spoil it. Come on.
He is stinky. I don't know what you want me to do about that.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to be nice.
Fuck that guy.
And like burnt pizza.
Well, you and Ryan have something in common, apparently.
What?
You both love giving Lewis shit.
Hey, listen.
Relentlessly.
I am his sibling, and that is my job. It was on my resume, and he accepted said resume when he accepted me as his sibling.
True enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
fair.
And then you have classic Ryan, who just walked in and joined in on the fun and never left.
Correct.
And we love him for it. Hey, Ryan. All right. So, as you can see from the title of this week's episode, we were going to be talking about our main event of the evening, which is the finale of Agatha All Along. But before we get into that, we are going to open up the show with a bit of Nintendo news. So, Nintendo actually just recently had their financial briefing. They had that today, and the Nintendo president opened up confirming their plans that they are going to are not going to be revealing the Switch 2 until they'll be revealing it by end of their fiscal year, which ends at the last day of March. So technically between now and March 30th or 31st, however many days March has, I can never remember those off the top of my head.
The last day of March.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll go with that. And so a lot of people were, all the people that were leaking rumors of, it's going to be revealed in September, and then, it's going to be revealed in October, and everybody wound up having egg on their face and what have you. Every single one of them were wrong. And I kind of expected it, because it's like, you got to take a lot of this with more than just a grain of salt, because a lot of these can be way out there, and some of them can kind of make sense. But as always, you can't really rely on anything 100%. But at this point, I think a lot of people are on what they call Team 2025. And honestly, at this point, I think it kind of makes sense, because if it would have been good, I think, and it wouldn't have affected as much to reveal it in October or September or even October. But November gets a little bit too close to their holiday season, and I don't think they want to take the risk of screwing up any holiday sales for their current system and games and whatnot. And I think that is what I think that's a pretty big risk that they don't take. So I'm thinking 2025, sometime within that.
Gotcha.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be better for them to just wait, anyways.
Hmm.
You know, like it's gonna give people time to get their money straight, so that way they can buy next year, the next year's holidays.
Well, true enough. But I mean, and usually when they reveal something like that, it's probably between 6-8 months before the system itself finally releases. So you're looking at, if they wait all the way to the end of March to drop that announcement, then you're looking at late September, early November.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes absolute sense. And so I'm curious, based on what you guys might have seen so far, when do you think, like, hazard a guess, when do you think they might announce it?
February 25th. To be
That's so
exact.
specific.
I mean, you can be as vague or specific as you want.
I mean, they did drop that alarmo, out of nowhere. So it could be any time. You know, like, nobody knew about that. I never heard about that clock or alarm.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, nobody knew about that.
It's so random.
Like, they shadow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen it?
Yeah. It's a physical piece of hardware. It's a clock. It's an alarm
Alarmo.
clock. I think it's a network connected alarm clock that has
You put themes on the
That's
clock,
so
basically.
cute.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's not expensive. I think it's like, what, $99?
Yep.
It is,
$100. $100.
And for a lot of Nintendo fans, I see a lot of people getting it, you know, just for the heck of it. I see Justin having it next year.
I doubt it. I mean, I posted this. Where the hell did I post this?
Discord?
I think it might have been Discord, or it was either Discord or Facebook. Somebody got Doom running on that fucking on Alarmo.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes.
The most random thing, and it's just like like that. That's I love it when they release like new bits of technology, especially ones that have like displays and things like that, because it's like inevitably somebody is going to try and get a game like Doom running on it, and Doom runs on everything. I'd love to know how they made that work.
Yeah, no idea. I used to be better with jailbreaking technology, and it's been a minute since I've done it.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it on a few of my previous phones. I've done it on a number of my game consoles. Let's see which ones I did. The Wii, the Wii U after it hit end of life. My PSP.
Yeah, I had the PSP like that too.
What is the purpose of jailbreaking? your
Basically,
devices.
unlocking the device to do more than what they want people to use it for.
Pretty much. Pretty much. For phones, it's basically to sideload apps that you wouldn't find on, say, Google Play or the Apple App Store and whatnot. It basically just to get past a lot of the protections. And then for some people, it's also to get rid of a lot of the bloatware that's on that's on their devices, especially with Android phones. Because I mean, when you get like a stock phone, it's just got a lot of crap that a lot of people just don't want and don't
Mhm.
feel they need, and so they completely crack those phones and just get all that stuff off there and then do their own thing with it. And fair enough, because I've done it a few
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
And
that
then,
makes sense.
oh yeah. And then for video game consoles, it's generally 9 times out of 10. Well, I don't say 9 times out of 10. I'd say about 8 times out of 10 for most people, it's like homebrew applications and things like that.
Mhm.
And and then of course you have those that will throw like classic game emulators and stuff on there to be able to play a lot of the classic stuff. And then there are those that pirate games and what have you. And so, yeah,
Okay.
no.
That's a little bit more iffy, but it makes sense if you
Mm,
have a phone and it's like, oh, you can't use it to the fullest potential because
mm.
of, they made it that way. I was like, well, I own this device. Why can't I just use it to as much as I can use it?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
remember having this like Sony phone that it came with lights on the side and whatnot. Like it's a slider
Mm.
phone, but it's small, not with a keyboard, and you can customize it and put themes in the phone. So I remember, oh, I'm gonna download the theme for the iPhone, and the one had like this like small ass screen that it was like, you couldn't touch it
Oh
or
yeah.
anything, but it was fun too. Just
Mm.
customize it, and with the Androids, it was that like typically you have all these apps, and they you end up downloading other ones that you want to have instead of using what they got and
Yeah.
Pretty
whatnot.
much. And that's more often than not is with manufacturers like Samsung and LG
Hmm.
and whatnot that are like closer in line, I think, with Apple. And what's funny is like Google with Android and that they don't really mind you rooting your device or jailbreaking. The two terms are pretty much the same. Um, and so that that you can do what you want with your phones. Samsung might not like it too much, but there really isn't much they can do to stop it. And Apple really doesn't like when you fuck with their devices, whether it's software, hardware, or whatever. Regardless of right to repair or not, they hate it. And like, I bought the device.
That's what
Fuck
I mean.
you.
It's like I own the device. I paid
Mhm.
like at this point 1,000 over 1,000 for it.
Yep.
So if I want to jailbreak it, that's my business. It's
Mm.
Mhm.
my device.
Yeah, and then when
Absolutely.
they have updates and whatnot, they fix a lot of those stuff. So they basically people that have those jailbroken and whatnot, they typically cannot update it
Mm.
Hmm.
unless they can find a new jailbreak for that new update.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still like if you completely jailbreak your device, especially with Android and whatnot. If you stick with like a pure Android build or whatever builds are out there for like the super tech savvy people that really want to do everything under the sun with their phone, uh, you'll generally get like Android build updates before any of the big phone manufacturers do, because obviously they want to put like they'll take the new they want to take the new Android builds. They want to put all their own stuff on it. And they do a lot of testing to make sure everything works. And then so it'll be like months and months and months where if you're like bone stock Samsung or whatever, like I have, you won't see it for a while. Whereas people that just have like a just completely broken open phone where they get everything and they get they get the newest versions of stuff pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Mm. And so, getting back to the question that I asked earlier, I'm thinking that they're going to probably wind up waiting until at least mid to late March, if not more so closer to the end of March. I'm thinking. Although I will say anything is certainly possible. Like we could get it out of nowhere, like say early January. Holidays are done and Nintendo just goes, "Hey, here you go. This is, we're going to announce
Yeah.
this."
Thinking of Christmas Day, right? Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Well, I doubt it because it's definitely going to be after the holidays because,
New
like I
Year's.
said, they don't want to they don't want to put their holiday sales at risk. Even though their forecasted sales for the remainder of the fiscal year are quite a bit lower than they were anticipating, but I mean they're still pretty well up there. So they're gonna sell a significant this is a fairly significant amount, I think, through the end of their fiscal year and probably through the end of 2025. And so I think they're at around 146 million units sold for the Switch. So they're closing in.
I was looking to see if their prices have gone down.
They
were
have
$350.
Yep. For this generation, they won't. It doesn't look like it until Switch 2 gets announced. I don't think we're going to see a price drop on those consoles. It's weird though. Outside of the odd sale that they might have on the rare like first party sale that they'll have on the eShop, you don't really see their games go on sale, and you don't really see prices drop on any of their games.
Yeah.
Games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they're still $60 games.
That means that I can still get at least $250 for my Switch. At least.
Yeah.
That's gonna be sold soon.
I was gonna say, provided if you sell it, which you shouldn't.
Oh, I will.
Nah, fair enough. I'm not gonna. You've got like what 3 others in the house?
Yeah,
that you can utilize, so-
it doesn't mean that I won't get to play it. So yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, no big worries. All right. And so, anything else on Nintendo and tech?
No.
No, sir.
Sounds good. All right. Well,
So what's up to Remy?
so we're going to be moving on to our main event of the evening, and which is Agatha All Along, the finale breakdown. And for those of you who have not gotten that far yet, please be aware.
Spoiler.
Yep. You
I like that
have
you've been warned. It's very ominous.
You've been warned.
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. So I actually finished the series and about an hour before we about an hour before we started. So I got to see the final episode and the twists at the end, and I'm actually glad that we got more of the backstory and whatnot of her character.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Yep.
My opinion overall of the show hasn't really changed much.
Yep.
It's a little bit higher based on the final episode and what we got from her character and everything that happened between her and who we now know is Lady Death, which is a big character in the Marvel universe for those who have read the comics. And what's funny is a little tidbit for those who might not know, in the MCU, just kind of breaking off a little bit for a couple seconds. For those that might not be aware, in the MCU, Thanos's meaning behind him collecting the Infinity Stones and destroying half of life was to basically create balance in the universe. And, you know, too many mouths to feed, not enough to go around, blah, blah, blah. You know, which, I mean, some people might agree with it. Some people might not. He was still a mad bastard, but in the comics, it was a bit more, not as noble sounding as you might think. His entire premise or reason for wanting to collect the Infinity Stones and wipe out half of life was to impress Lady Death.
To get
meant
rid of the
to ask-
bodies.
Yeah, I meant to ask about that. Isn't this the same Lady Death that Thanos is in love with?
Well, I mean, we're talking about so this, with this being the MCU, and Thanos being dead, probably not. And then, of course, in the concept,
In regards to like who she is and who he is, this is those two people from that story. It's just they're not going to correlate because the MCU kind of.
yeah. So the characters are basically the same, but different in the concept of, right. So different in the context of this particular universe, or the sacred timeline, if you want to call as they call it. You know, obviously, yeah, with Thanos already being dead, but yeah, no, Thanos was madly in love with Lady Death.
Okay.
And killing trillions of people to impress this woman.
Kind of makes sense when you look at it that way, but also at the same time, bitch, you crazy. Go home.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. But yes, getting back on track. What do you got? What did you think?
Me or Yadi or both.
Either one of you can jump in.
I like that. I really enjoyed the show. It was a fun watch. It was definitely a fun watch. It was definitely one of those that's like I wasn't expecting the plot twist of like, oh, like this is what I meant with this is, you know, you got your mom's same tell, and then them like twisting that shit around, and it's like, oh,
Right.
but I really like the characters. I like all of the characters. I like what they did with it, and I like the what's it called? The whole storyline that they gave her reasoning as to why she's essentially a villain. It shows that there's more depth to her character than just, you know, I'm kooky and crazy and like I just like chaos. Which is funny because she calls Scarlet Witch a chaos witch, and it's kind of like what she's trying to imitate almost.
It seems to be that way based on what I've seen. And like, and like I said, I'm actually glad that we got some backstory with her, even if it was just on the last episode. And like you said, her motivation to basically having turned completely to just complete evil. Because I mean, she was still killing witches and draining them of her power.
Killing witches, yes.
Right. With the aid of her son at the time, who, as we find out, was initially supposed to die right then. Like he was supposed to be, and I mean, it sucks to say it, like he was supposed to be stillborn, but she begged Lady Death to spare. But it's like, okay, I'll give you time. How much time?
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, she wasn't going to say anything. All she did was she just disappeared, and that was that. And then it goes on to, you know, you see like him living his life and just kind of tricking other witches to get them to Agatha so she can in turn drain them of their powers and kill them.
Which I'm wondering if that's why Lady Death gave her the have some more time with your son, because she was getting a lot more. She was able to kill a lot more witches with the kid, than she probably would have without it, and kind of in that same Thanos situation, she would have gotten more souls, more bodies.
It's certainly possible, but I also look at it like you had, what is it, like 6 or 7 years with this with this kid.
Yeah.
You are more than you were more than a little attached, and
Yeah.
then when he finally has to go with her to the afterlife, and like that transformation when she wakes up and finds out that he is no longer among the living, like
That
you
that
saw
was very
that, like,
sad.
oh yeah, you saw that change in her, and she fully embraced, it looked like, who she
Mhm.
was. And then she was singing that song while finishing the burial of her son. And
Yeah.
then some random witch comes out of nowhere and like, wait, can you help me find the witch's road? And then she got that I think that's where she got the idea in her head, and come to find out, she made it up in order to draw in more unsuspecting witches in order to do the same thing that she's always been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which explained a lot from the beginning of the show when she was trying to get all the witches to be
Oh yeah.
angry, and you
Yeah.
were like getting
Oh yeah.
the answers that you didn't know you needed for the
Yeah.
show.
Oh yeah.
I still want to know more about how she met Lady Death, how that relationship came to be, because at that point that she was going to give birth, it seemed like, because she says like, give me more time, my love, don't do this. So there was
Mhm.
already a relationship there
Yeah.
established, broken but established.
Mm.
And then the other thing is, it's kind of cool how they, like, again, full circle, like you just said, where she was the one to create the witch's road, but also the one to perish because of the witch's road, or adjacent to.
Right.
Actually, it was what's his name, Billy, that wound up opening that.
Yeah.
So he opened, yeah. So come to find out, and we find this out on the final episode. Like we said, spoilers, folks. It wound up coming to be that he wound up opening it, and
Well, he created it,
He
yeah,
created it.
yep,
just like his
He
mom
created
that
the
created this.
physical.
Right, just like his mom that created this town, or like kind of
Mm.
control this town basically.
It was
And
so basically it was a very, very convincing illusion created by him without even realizing that he had done it, creating the door and the physical road itself, and whatnot, and that in turn wound up costing many of these characters their lives.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I liked. So when they ended that episode 8, I thought it was the final one. I don't know if
Mm.
that caught
I
me
did
only me off
too.
guard, but
No.
I was like, "Wait, what the heck is happening? Like, show more!" And
Oh
then they
yeah.
were saying like, "Play next episode." I was like, "What?" So
Me too.
question: Did
I
they
freaked
drop 2
out.
episodes in the last day?
I
Is that
think
what
so.
they did?
I think that was the case.
I think that was very cool because
Mm-hmm.
we were all expecting 8, right?
Mm.
Was I the only one expecting 8 episodes?
I was
I
thinking
actually,
8 as well.
yeah, I thought it was 8. I thought it was 8 as well. Because I mean, it's usually even numbers when
Right,
they do these series.
right.
So
But I thought
when I read 2-episode finale, I'm like, really?
yeah, I didn't read that. I just started watching, and then all of a sudden it was like, next episode. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. The way
Mm.
that they kind of change the pattern on people, and expecting it to be the end and be disappointed,
Mm.
but then having another one, that was clever.
Oh
It
yeah.
was clever, and I think that last episode was necessary to her story
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
So it's cool, and it's very cool that they left it for all the way at the end.
This is by far one of the shows that it, even though a lot of people don't really care for it or liked it, I think it went up and stayed kind of in an incline. Like I don't think it ever went down in my interest itself.
Mhm.
So like it wasn't like a hill, it went way up all the time, but it was steady,
Yeah.
and I feel
Um,
like it kept my attention for a while.
I agree that well, that's what I mean. It was a very entertaining show, like, regardless of where if it adds to the storyline or not. It was a very, very entertaining show. It was very well made. The characters made sense. They followed, the plot and again made it make sense without, you know, like in other projects where it's like, "Oh, hey, this is happening anyways. We're going to pay attention to this thing that's over here."
Yeah, and also at the very end, like you were not thinking of, oh, what happened to Agatha after this,
Mhm.
because you got the closing for her
Yeah.
character basically.
Mm.
Now we probably will see her somewhere around, the multiverse and whatnot. But at least in this case, you got the ending for a character and how the beginning of a new one,
Yeah.
came up to be.
My other question too is like, where did the rumor that she gave up her kid for the Darkhold come from, and why did she let it continue? I'm assuming it's because of that whole "I'm evil" situation.
Right, like
Like,
Mm.
they must,
intimidation.
yeah, intimidation, but also like, where did it come from? Because I'm sure she didn't put that out there.
Um, I mean, it's certainly possible that she did in order to deflect away from the real reason that she lost her kid in the first place. Um, which I mean, like I said, that's certainly possible. I mean, because you see like who she is, and she's like very, very guarded as far as like those deep personal demons, and other information that you want to keep very close to the chest. And the type of chaotic person that she is, she's not gonna she's not gonna tell anybody about that. And
Well, that's what's making me think that she didn't actually say that herself, regardless of how it was going to make her look, because she's very guarded. I don't.
mm,
Her kids is not something that she talks about ever.
right.
They ask, she never answers. So I'm assuming somebody else put that rumor out there, and I'm wondering who it was. And then now she's just
Mm.
using it to her advantage. But I don't think it came from her.
Gotcha, gotcha. No, that actually makes sense. That actually makes sense. So she may not have started it, but she didn't do anything to quell those rumors
Correct.
because she didn't want to she didn't want to open old wounds.
That and it helps her look meaner.
That too.
True. Yeah.
Very curious about that.
Mm.
Also, very curious about where Tommy is.
Right, because they make it seem like,
He's back, yeah.
yeah. And when he's realizing what's happening to, is like, am I killing this kid?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that's when she realized that he had that ability, like he was that powerful.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I mean, and because of course, like, I mean, he managed to find a body of somebody that was already dying.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so I'm wondering though, like, okay, where are they gonna go next with this?
Mhm.
That would be
But
then what's the Young Avengers? Is that what it's called?
yeah, there's a lot of I've seen a lot of rumors and like different like fan made posters of what the Young Avengers could be and whatnot. And I mean, it could be interesting. I want to see where they go and what stories they tell to build up these other characters leading into, say, a probable Young Avengers movie.
Hmm.
Which I would assume. I mean, we can all pretty much assume that it would be like sometime after Phase 6 is concluded, and then they move into Phase 7 and whatever big overarching story they go with.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they have any more plans after what we currently have. I'm sure they do have something, but I'm wondering where they're going, how long they're gonna keep making these movies.
Yeah.
People eventually might get tired of it unless they're creative. They kind of brought um, new people, new item, like new viewers with Agatha because there's a lot of people that I've seen that like the show just because of how kind of dark it is and
Mhm.
it is not just superheroes. It's just like more supernatural stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and that song is freaking catchy, and I still have
It
it in my head.
is.
Um,
You know, I meant to mention. I meant to mention. Sure, whatever. The how they do the how they walk the seven witches.
oh, like this Salient
The
7.
Salem 7,
Mm.
how they walk whenever they're trying to be super scary and intimidating. That's cool as fuck. I like when they do that in movies.
Now that's the one thing that I was gonna ask you guys. Like, I was disappointed that they basically went nowhere with
Yep.
those characters. Like they just killed them. Um, which if you really look at it, they were not villains. They were trying to kill the villain,
Yeah.
Mm.
and somehow the good ones they were seemed to be the bad ones and ended up killing the good one. Like I've never seen a show like that.
It's a complete inversion of of what you expect
And this
of.
is this is one of the reasons why people actually like this show because it was like the whole other side. But yes, I was disappointed with that they were nowhere there, and then we were all expecting Wanda to show up somewhere, but they didn't. But I'm guessing they're saving something for the new Vision show or whatever uh, that's
I
gonna be.
think so. I also thought there's a scene where one of them is laying on the ground and Lady Death like touches their face, but she's got the black fingertips on, and I was like, "That's Wanda." It wasn't.
Mm.
It's very sad. Very sad. But also, I
Oh
wonder
yeah.
if the Salem 7 aren't actually dead. Because isn't Lady Death one of the Salem 7? Unless she was just
No.
portraying to be one of them.
She knew them, but they
Mm.
probably knew that they couldn't do anything to her.
Yeah. It
Um,
just seems silly that they would kill her in such a kill them in such a quick way, I guess.
and that was a cool sacrifice too.
It was a cool
Also, we didn't talk about that one too. It's like how that episode ended.
Mm-hmm.
That she could basically pop in any time in her life,
And
which
she's my
is
favorite witch out of
yeah,
all of them.
she's that was
Oh
very cool.
yeah, that condition that she had because it seemed like she couldn't control her powers, and so she was like jumping back and forth through different moments of her life,
Yep.
and like not, and then for a while like not being able to remember certain bits, and what she said to certain people, and I'm like, okay, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I like when they went with that.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. Favorite witch. I like the fact that they rounded up her storyline pretty nice and neat, and then that she essentially went to the beginning of her life, which explains why she explains that time is not linear, more like
Mhm.
circular, because she's essentially. Does that mean she lives forever technically?
Yeah, in the same
Mm.
In the
life
same
cycle.
life
Yeah, she could
cycle?
come back to yeah,
Because she died and then went back to when she was a kid.
yeah.
But then when she was a kid, she was having visions of when she was older.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's all messed up though.
Yeah.
I've seen scenes like this before where like a character dies and then they go and then I guess their version of passing on to into the afterlife is they find themselves back in uh like a particular place from like from their younger days,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and so that basically is what this reminds me of. And so it's like
Mhm.
this is basically like her revisiting that initial scene from earlier in her life, before she ultimately passes on into the afterlife. So where she basically is where she's sitting down and just starting her training.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then that's where her life ultimately ends.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that she is pretty much dead at this point.
I was thinking she was
But yeah,
dead
in the
physically
future,
than
Mm.
she was more dead physically than spiritually because she died at the beginning of her life. Like her physical body dies, but then she's transported back to when she starts her training
with the knowledge
with
of
the
what she
knowledge.
already has. So yeah, it's very cool to think of it. You just cannot make it up. But
Nope.
I think they did right to that. And then what was the other witch when she finally got her powers back? That she learns that she was bounded by Agatha
Yeah.
Mhm.
all along.
Yeah. And she was one of the very few that survived that entire ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
The only one with Agatha, and then she dies, and Will is it Wilcan? Wilcan?
No, it's Billy.
Billy.
Well, yeah, but he will become that.
Oh,
Oh,
Wiccan.
Wiccan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. There you go. Sticking a
Mm.
will.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I've seen the character. I mean, I've seen the character from the comics, and looking at his costume from episode 8, it's surprisingly accurate to the comics, which
Hmm.
I thought was pretty cool.
Oh,
So,
that's the other thing of this show. All the practical effects, which we touched the last time we talked about the show itself, but even adding all the new stuff of the
mhm,
latest episodes, that was pretty cool. I saw a video of them seeing the um like the places where they're going to film. They were all
mhm,
obviously made in a studio, and they were so excited because they're coming from COVID times where everything was like away, and then also a lot of green screens all over the place. So
mhm.
then when they got to see the actual set, it was pretty cool. They were
Oh
all
yeah.
so excited. You can tell that they loved what they were doing.
I think, and like I said and like I also said with the previous episode, it was one of the few good takeaways I got from this show was the fact that they went more towards practical effects
Hmm.
than they did with CGI. I mean, you still had a number of green screens and stuff like that, like physical green screen stuff that they filled in and whatnot. And one of the things I thought was actually kind of funny was having Aubrey Plaza's character
Mm-hmm.
go up to the green screen at the end of the studio and physically cut the damn thing open and step through it. And I'm like,
That was very
okay,
cool.
it's an interesting little
Yeah.
fourth wall break there.
Yeah, literally.
Unintentional, I think it might have been, but
Maybe it
I
was meant to
actually,
like signify that the road was fake.
that's also possible. That's also possible. Because I honestly fully expected like that breach to kind of heal itself up, but it was
I
just
did
like
too.
it stayed there until the scene cut to something else. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But then, it makes sense. She had to physically cut the green screen at the end of at the end of that sound stage, and I'm just like, all right,
Hmm. But they used that green screen on purpose.
Mm. Oh yeah. Uh yeah. I mean, I know there are a number of people that like that enjoyed this series, and that's the thing though. Like, I'm not going to hate on anybody that enjoyed this series. It really wasn't my cup of tea. I kind of it for me until especially like until the final episode where we got like more, well, not just the final episode, but like a good ways into episode 8 when we were finally starting to get more of her story and it was more starting to build and whatnot. I was rather bored with the series, and and there were a lot more people I think that were that were bored with it as well. And I don't have the exact numbers, but like whether I'm not entirely sure I don't like its chances of getting another season at this stage, because the numbers at this point, from what I've read so far, aren't there. Like, it seems like it's not as bad of a repeat of, say, the Acolyte, but
Mhm.
it started off on a better note as far as viewership, and then obviously viewership tended to trend downwards until the finale, where it did pick up a little bit. And so, but the question is, will it be enough to warrant a second season, or are they going to figure out another way to further the characters that did survive and move them into the existing canon for the MCU? At this point, there's no way to tell. Like,
I'm leaning towards more that's what's gonna happen. It's not gonna be, because a lot of the shows from Disney only have one season.
Mm.
It's more so like
Expanding more on stories.
expanding more on stories, and like, hey, here's the introduction, here's the closing for this character, and then moving on to the movies.
True enough. I think, but honestly, and as I've said it, and I mean, I've repeated it enough times. Like, as long as it's written well, and
Mhm.
they do something really, really good with these characters, and it seems like they're starting to move in the right direction at this
Mhm.
point. So, like, everything that came out of the whole the whole controversy with Kang Dynasty and whatnot, and so they're like moving on from like certain writers and what have you, and so it's basically a wait and see game to see like how they pick this up. And so I'm hopeful, but like I said, it's just a wait and see game at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a fun fact with the songwriters for that down the road.
Mm.
I remember something and I had to look it up, but they are the writers for the Frozen songs, Frozen 1 and 2, and
Hmm.
Wanda, when
And
she
those are
had
catchy.
a song there. Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. They're pretty they make pretty catchy songs.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. What I was gonna say earlier, what I found funny about this is I watch a lot of videos and reviews from a guy called the Critical Drinker, and his take on this is, because he was like, who was the show even made for? And he was like, this seems like it was. And to be honest, based on like the first half at least of the series, I kind of agreed with it. It seemed like it was made for like middle-aged wine moms that had never seen a Marvel Studios show or movie before.
Right.
And
That's why I said to attract new people.
true enough, but that's the thing though. It's like a lot of those particular folks wouldn't necessarily watch. Like, they might watch this show, but then, would they progress further into the MCU as a whole? There's really no guarantee. Like, you're taking a huge risk by trying to change things to kind of cater to like a specific audience. Whereas if you like stick with your tried and true method, which is going to make you, and that's a big part of why Deadpool and Wolverine succeeded as well as it did. And also a big part of why phases 1, 2, and 3, with few exceptions, did as well as it did. You're telling incredible stories, and now and to Yadi's point with the TV shows, it's you're obviously not expecting like huge blockbuster action, like always on the edge of your seat constantly, and I get that for the shows I get that, but there's still you can still do more with it.
Hmm.
So, well, that's just my take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's with the new people. What they probably will do is like they might want to know more about how this came to be. Like what was
Mhm.
previous this One Division. They go to One Division and they go and they kind of backtrack a little bit and see if they like other characters and whatnot. A lot of
Oh,
times
absolutely.
people will watch something because they might see a specific character they want to see
Mhm.
in a movie. You know, they might not follow all of them. They might like one specific character. They might be, you know, just looking at the actor itself. Like it's all attracting all different people. So
Well, I mean, fair enough. And to be honest, if it turns into some of these folks branching off and seeing, I mean, like you said, going into like WandaVision and similar series and whatnot, and then if it in turn brings them into more of the mainstream Marvel movies, and so if they say, okay, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole and wind up watching like most, if not everything that Marvel Studios has, then you have new fans that can potentially get into everything else that they have.
right.
And so while this doesn't necessarily cater to the everyday Marvel fan,
Hmm.
it could potentially bring in new Marvel fans to see some of the stuff that they may have missed that we've already got, and then, build excitement for some of the stuff that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, because they never told the story of Agatha in the comics. So this is like brand new, right?
True enough.
Yeah. So like yeah, they went completely off script for what Marvel typically does. Which it fit in. It worked. At least I think it worked.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too bad. Not my
Hmm.
cup of tea, but to each their own as far as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, I'm not gonna give a lot of grief to to those that did enjoy it. So if you did enjoy it, and not just to you and Lola, but for those of us that to those that watch us, our podcast every week, like if you enjoy it, all the better. That's awesome. As far as I'm concerned, the more the merrier.
Yeah, and I also think that a lot more people watch this than Venom. Just kidding. I don't know what Venom is doing.
Oh man. Yeah, that's another one that, like, it's it's a decent set of movies, but it's not like as popular as some of the other ones. And the first two movies, and it looks like the third one's gonna make some money, but it's not. It doesn't seem to be. Uh, it doesn't seem to be a franchise that a lot of people are going out of their way to see. Like me specifically, I'm not gonna watch it until it comes out on streaming services. Like as soon as it hits the Microsoft store, I'll probably buy it. But until then, I'm pretty much just gonna be. I'll
Yeah.
be waiting, and if I get spoiled a bit before then, so be it. Like I've seen the first two, I've enjoyed them. But it's not something that I would go to the theaters and see like opening day, or even, I mean, at this point, even during its theatrical run.
Yeah, I don't plan on going either.
Maybe. Haven't decided yet.
I gotcha. Well, if you do, let us know what you think, and
Of course.
Talk about it on the podcast.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
the first one. I didn't really like the second one, to be completely honest with you. So third one is kind of like meh. Am I gonna like it though?
There might be some characters popping up. I haven't really seen
Might be
anything.
some characters,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I
Oh,
mean,
and
a lot of reviews are just kind of down the middle. Like it's not bad, but it's not really like blow you away
Mm-hmm.
mm,
type of stuff. Like oh, it's a thing. This is here.
And a lot of
Okay.
people, not a lot of people, but I saw some posts that this might be opening. And again, it's just what I read because I haven't seen the movie, but it says it just might be opening the Sinister Six movie, like opening up to that next stage. But
Hmm.
I
I mean,
haven't really seen it, so I can't say if that might be true or not, but it will be fun.
it's certainly possible. And I mean, like I said, with back in the first segment with Nintendo, it's like everything with a grain of salt, and what I'm waiting for is when we start seeing some of these characters in the MCU. Because at some point, you're going to see Venom in the MCU and whatnot. And I think, I don't know exactly where I read this or where I saw it, but I think a lot of the reasons that you haven't seen a lot, I mean, besides the fact that Sony owns them at this point, or at least the movie rights to them, the reason that you haven't seen a lot of these Spider-Man characters or Spider-Verse characters in the MCU yet is because of the fact that Sony hasn't used them yet. And so when you see Sony actually use these characters, and then you'll probably start seeing some of them pop up in the MCU at some point. And so, I mean, Spider-Man 4, that's going to start filming at some point next year. We still don't have a lot of information. Yeah, we still don't have a lot of information on that, and part of me is kind of glad. Like, I'm excited to see like what we're going to get, villains or whatnot. Some people are saying we might get Venom in that Spider-Man movie.
Yadi.
So, and I mean, you think about it, this is like Venom: The Last Dance, the final Venom movie from Sony's Spider-Man universe. Could that be the transition going into Marvel Studios and their universe? Only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
All right. Anything else? Oh, Remy from Remy's Roundtable is in the chat.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I mentioned it before. I mean, nobody hear me, but
I'm
I hope you're doing
sorry.
okay.
Well, sorry if I didn't see it right away. Hello.
Hi.
Send them a clip. We'll send the clip when he started the chat, and then fast forward until you answer.
Well, I mean, we were in this conversation and what have you. So honestly, I legitimately didn't even hear you say, "Hey," but I mean, it happens. It happens. Well, in any case, we always like the engagement in the live chat. So don't hesitate if you choose to. If you want to get in on the live chat, go right ahead.
You have to wait like 20-30 minutes before we answer, but you'll get seen.
35 minutes, please.
Yeah, we can be a bit squirrel brained sometimes.
A bit. What you talking about?
I was trying to be kind.
Get out of here with you trying to be kind. Just say the truth, Justin. We're distracted and my brother stinks. Just say it. In plain words.
We're professionals, folks.
Absolutely.
I promise we're professionals. Oh man. All right. Any other random shit we want to go over before we call it good for the evening?
No.
No.
That's
Should
all
be good.
good.
Should be good for the night.
Yeah, it's a little bit less than we've been going, especially on recent episodes. But it's all good. No big worries there. All right. So we're going to go ahead and call it good for one episode, folks. We hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. As always, follow us on all of our social platforms. Links down in the description below. The link tree there will take you everywhere you need to go. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Yeah, what can they do, Yadi?
Click all the things.
There you go. There you go. You heard the man. Click all the things and join Nerds Don't Words Good, folks. Our incredible community. Yeah. Well,
You're doing great.
quitting while I'm behind. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get the hell out of here for Yadi and Lola. This is Justin. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yes.